Burnout 2 Point of Impact is a racing game that was developed by Criterion Games and published by, well, Acclaim Entertainment. I don't think I'll ever escape this company. If you frequent my channel, you've probably seen me play racing games with mascot characters, futuristic bikes, or even toy RC cars. But so far, I have never uploaded a challenge run featuring regular, honest-to-goodness cars. There's a bunch to choose from, and they all have different stats and minor customization options. Amongst all these cars, there's a few picks that are considered less desirable for championship play. You clicked on the video, so it's no surprise that you already know what I'm about to do. According to the Burnout wiki, Gangster is an old saloon car, notorious for its horrendous acceleration. The wiki praises its top speed and handling, but states again that the car has the worst acceleration bar none, creating issues with trying to catch up after a crash or missing a start boost. The wiki goes on to say that it could be considered the worst vehicle in the entire game. Apparently, the stats for Gangster were rebalanced in the Xbox release to make it more of a viable pick. That information is good enough for me, so let's see if you can beat Burnout 2's Custom Series Championship using only Gangster. If you're familiar with this game, the title of the challenge I just read might be a bit odd. There's already a championship mode, so why not that? Or both even? Well, my original intention was just to beat the championship mode in this game, but after racing in a few Grand Prix, it was clear that this would have been too easy. Midstream, it was recommended to me that I should try out the custom series instead, since this championship features cars that are much harder to race against. So that will be the challenge I set off to complete. I'll also be playing on the GameCube version as well, so we don't have to worry about the rebalanced stats. Before we get into the custom championship, I'll explain how the mode and races work. Both championship modes have Grand Prix to complete. In these Grand Prix, you're put up against 3 other cars for a set amount of races that vary depending on which Grand Prix you choose. The races are set as circuits. What that means is you're put on a set path, but you have to clear checkpoints before the time limit runs out. As you pass through each checkpoint, more time is added onto your timer. Some races have you driving around a track for a few laps, and others are just one race to the finish line. At the start of a race, you can perform a boost start by tapping the brake and acceleration buttons. When the countdown hits 1, you can stop hitting the brake button and press acceleration. If done correctly, you'll perform the boost start. It can be a little tricky to get down at first. The tracks are set in realistic cities, highways, and an airport. These areas are full of traffic to avoid. Hitting a car dead on will cause yours to crash, endangering everyone around you and putting your car out of the race for a few seconds until you respawn. Reckless driving, while not okay in real life, is encouraged in the Burnout series. While driving on the wrong side of the road for an extended period of time, you'll slowly fill up your boost meter. This can also be filled by drifting, gaining airtime, and maneuvering closely around other cars without touching them, which is called a near miss. Near misses can also be multiplied if you quickly move through traffic, causing the boost meter to fill up faster with each miss. Your boost can only be used when it's full. You can either use a little bit of it or all of it, but the moment you let go of the boost button, you'll have to wait until it's full again. If you decide to use all of your boost in one go and continue to do any of the things previously mentioned, you can potentially achieve a burnout when the boost meter is empty. It'll refill and you can keep going, as long as you drive like a maniac and continue to add on to the boost meter. You're given points at the end of each race, which are 3 for first, 2 for second, 1 for third, and 0 for fourth. If you're not performing well in a race, or you're doing so well that the point count doesn't matter, you can also choose to retire at any point during the race for an automatic 0 points. Retiring will still let you move on to the next race. The car with the most points at the end of the Grand Prix wins. That should just about cover all of the basics. So let's begin the challenge. The custom championship starts out with the Speed Streak Grand Prix. As mentioned before, I was coming into this straight out of the early stages of the first championship. So as the other cars sped past me, even with one of them missing the boost start, I knew this was the challenge run for me. Now would probably also be a good time to mention that I have never played a Burnout game before, nor did I pick up on how to boost start at this time. The first race is a reverse of 88 interchange. It's all highway driving, so there's plenty of traffic to avoid here. Gangster was a tad below average in the handling department, but one of my biggest issues was the build of the car itself along with the default camera angle. Sometimes you just couldn't see the car in front of you and it'd lead to a crash. Sure, you could switch to the first person mode, but it was nauseating for a fast-paced game like this. The other cars were fast and kept up a good distance ahead for a while. Regardless, I still managed to fill up my boost meter and speed past the competition. Didn't do the driving school? Who needs to go to driving school? Dorks? You think I go to school? I finished in first place, baby. The following race is another reverse track in Crystal Summit Peak. I can't be the only one thinking that racing around icy mountain roads and fast, expensive cars isn't a good idea. This race had 5 laps and required a lot more drifting. You can drift by quickly pressing the brake button and letting go while accelerating. Or if you're a caveman like myself, you can just accelerate and turn hard enough without braking so the car just drifts anyway. Bear with me, I promise we'll get drifting sorted out. My horrible turning led me to finishing in 3rd place. This only put me 1 point behind first for now, so it was all good. Reverse tracks continue in the next race at Ocean View. This area is an oceanside town that leads into a little bit of the city, and is also our first 1-lap race to the finish line. I didn't have any issues with this track, which I was surprised about. I hadn't really paid too much attention to it in the moment, but the cars in 1st and 2nd place got into a crash early on. This let me take 1st place easily since I didn't have any crashes throughout the race. We ended the reverse streak in Sunrise Valley Springs. This is more of a yeehaw desert area. I crashed my car a lot more here than any other race. I'm on the right side of the road! I have the right of way! Ah! You can kind of see. Oh, this whole game is just, watch where you're going, you fool. Even with all these crashes, I still wasn't too far behind the other cars. At the end of the final lap, I could have gotten 2nd if I had a full boost meter, but I got 3rd place instead. I wasn't entirely sure if I had won, since I had 2 lower finishes mixed in with my 1st place ones, and my focus was mixed between the game and my chat, so I wasn't paying too much attention to points. I still won! I still won, dude! Let's go! The gold trophy! The gold trophy goes to me, baby! Not too bad for a first try with no boost starts and bad drifting. Before I move on to the next Grand Prix, there's a pursuit that was beckoning me over. Pursuits are challenges where you play as a police car and try to hit the car you're chasing after enough times until their health runs out. If the car reaches the end before you finish them off, you have to restart. Completing the challenge unlocks the car you destroyed in the name of the law. This really has nothing to do with only playing as Gangster, but it felt wrong to leave it out of the challenge. I'll keep this segment brief. It's not much more deep than just chasing the car around and striking it a bunch of times. This wasn't too hard. I stopped the car on my very first try. God, you stopped them! Went over the rail. The next Grand Prix is called Split Second. It starts off with the reverse track at Palm Bay Marina and puts you up against even tougher cars. I was menuing a bit fast and didn't realize that the car you choose defaults to the last one you played as. In this case, it was the police car. No problemo, except for a minor annoyance. If you want to go back to the main menu to switch your car, you have to wait until the race starts, retire, wait for it to show the track records and all that, and then you can exit the race and go back to the main menu. It's a small gripe, but I really wish there was just a return to the main menu option to make things more convenient. Now with Gangster back, we can start the race. I also switched the color to this nice purple. I missed the boost start again, but turned lemons into lemonade and had fun with it. Dang, I didn't hit the gas hard enough. Gas, 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 I'm gonna step on the gas tonight! Excuse me, running in the 90s. I have no wife and no degree. I caught back up pretty quickly and didn't see much of the other cars until the final lap. I kept my boost meter healthy and had the cleanest first place finish. Let's do this. First place. We're now into the reverse interstate loop. More highway driving and more cars to hopefully avoid. Gangster's sluggishness was coming more to light when respawning from crashes. It was fairly tough to get back up to speed, even with boosting. In the second lap, I was nearly in first place, until this happened. Holy shit! Drive much? And then I had a brain fart moment in an awkward respawn point. I'd actually crashed in the same place in the last lap and was put in the same weird respawn point. So that teeny blunder got me in last place. Even though I was only behind by 1 point, missing any points in a Grand Prix can hit you pretty substantially if you're not getting first place in nearly every race afterward. But we carry on into reverse Big Surf Shores. I crashed way too much in this one, and the issue of not being able to see the cars in front of me arose again. I almost got third place, but had a little too much faith in myself. I believe! The standings were looking a bit grim after getting no points back-to-back, but I stayed optimistic since there were still 2 races left. Reverse Airport Terminal 3, a premium racing area where the speed limit is probably 25 miles an hour or less. In all seriousness, the airport tracks are definitely the easiest. Once you get in the groove of weaving through all the traffic and drifting, it's a cakewalk. I suppose that could be said about most of these tracks if you have a good car and know what you're doing, but I felt like the airport had far less obstacles outside of traffic. I got first place and put myself back in a position where I could potentially still win. The last race is in Heartbreak Hills. Need I say more? The real heartbreak was watching this video back and seeing how much easier it would have been if I had just learned to drift properly. I got 3rd place and lost the Grand Prix by 3 points. I didn't even crash once in this race, but my turns were so bad and decreased my speed enough to keep me back. They weren't kidding when they said this car's acceleration was horrendous, but this loss is 90% on me. So now I have to endure my first Grand Prix retry. And as much as I typically love to go a little more in on every track in my videos, these races are a lot longer than what I'm used to. The general idea of Burnout is go fast, don't crash, build up the boost meter as much as possible, and continue to go fast. So I'll try to sum up any redos as best as I can to save us all some time. In Palm Bay Marina, I held the 1st place position for most of the first lap, but one crash cost me my spot. I tried to pick myself back up, but I just kept on crashing into other cars and falling further behind. I almost took 2nd by the end, but No! Are you kidding? Come on! The loss of that one extra point and getting 3rd place mattered a lot more than you'd think. It was the same in Interstate Loop. I don't know how to drive! Plenty of crashes and almost finishing in a decent place. I can't believe I crashed my way into the finish line here. Having only 2 points going into the 3rd race was pretty bad, but a win wasn't out of the realm of possibility just yet. That's kind of rough. Unless you got 3rd place in Big Surf Shores like I did. With 3 points in total and being 5 points away from 1st place, I knew it wasn't worth continuing. So I reset and tried again. This time, I got 1st place in Palm Bay Marina and Interstate Loop. Big Surf Shores killed the winning streak dead in the dirt. I didn't even crash that much. I just raced badly here. I got last place, which, while not ideal, didn't move me in the standings, so I was okay for now. Airport Terminal 3 also had more crashes in it than I would have preferred, but I still clutched out a 2nd place finish. Going back into Heartbreak Hills, I was tied for 1st place. All I needed was to get 1st place, maybe 2nd. Can't be that hard. Me. Or, well, yeah, I think this will sum up what happened. Say the line, Ray. I lost because I didn't know how to drift. One fast sequence of another retry later, I left Airport Terminal 3 being 2 points ahead in the lead. For the most part, as long as I got anything other than 4th place, I was guaranteed to win. Now, this is the part where I tell you all that I finished the race where I needed to and won. Right? Well, kinda. I actually got obliterated in this race. Didn't even stand a chance in hell. These other cars were leaps and bounds ahead of me. But since the bottom 2 cars placed much better than expected, they robbed Custom Pickup of the points they needed to win, and the trophy was given to me. 2 cup finishes in 1 stream was pretty good in my book, so I went to sleep and continued the next day with a sense of justice in the air. For the crime of losing against an average content creator and mediocre racing game player, Johnny Law is now pursuing the Custom Pickup and preparing to send them to the Stony Lonesome. If I were the cop behind the wheel, they probably would have gotten away with it, because it took me a few tries. Justice prevails in the end, though, and crime doesn't pay. I finished off my donuts and headed straight for the Point of Impact Grand Prix. Oh hey, like the title of the game. This Grand Prix has 6 races, the most we've seen so far. It starts with reversed Crystal Summit Peak. We're back in the mountains again in even worse weather conditions for a race. In this track, the turns were even tighter and more precise, so goofballing my way to a victory wasn't going to cut it anymore. Also, the custom cars I faced off against were faster than ever. I won't bore you with this one here. I was pretty much 6 seconds or more behind 3rd place. 6 seconds in a racing game can be light years away, at least depending on what game you're playing. In this case, it wasn't happening. I took my handful of nothing and moved on to the next race. Reverse Freeway Dash. Would you believe that it's a dash along the freeway? Well, you bet your bottom dollar it is. And guess what? Everyone dashed. But me. I was even further behind 3rd place in this race than I was at Crystal Summit. There was a beautiful silver lining though. That's how, because I'm an idiot. I awakened the brake drifting inside of me and unlocked the potential I knew I had all along. Compared to other racing games I played with brake turning and drifting, it was pretty awkward, but was one of the final pieces of the puzzle I needed to master the game. I can already see the comments section now. No, it's alright. Go ahead and post that comment about me not brake drifting or start boosting. Honestly, I probably deserve it. Next race is the Reverse Sunrise Valley Downtown. This one was a beautiful disaster. I already knew I wasn't long for this Grand Prix, so I used this as an opportunity to better hone my newfound skills. While I was still getting the hang of things in the second to last Grand Prix in the Championship Cup, I managed to sneak into third at the end of this race. My first point. After being crushed in the last 2 races, this felt good. Reverse Big Surf Grove is up. This race was the best I've done thus far. I was weaving in and out of second and third for the last 2 laps. A boost with a little help from traffic helped me secure second. I was laughably behind in last place with 3 points. But the show must go on. I'd like to tell you all where the next race was at, but my stream crashed right when it started. So for the sake of keeping things as they are instead of looking it up, we'll just call it Reverse Miami for now. This is where I'd really start to discover that these cars were just so much faster than me. Gangster's top speed is okay, but it takes so long to get where it needs to be. These other cars outclassed me in every way. You basically gotta boost and stay boosting for as long as you possibly can. Unlike some of the custom cars, your speed alone is not enough. Prime example here. Custom Roadster crashed right near the finish line, with me driving away, minding my own business. Then it respawns shortly after and moves right past me like nothing happened. Reverse Airport Terminal 1 and 2 is the final track. Like I mentioned before, the terminal tracks are probably the easiest in the game. I was in first place in the second lap, and by a fair distance too, but a few crashes near the end of the race left me in second. Obviously, I lost this Grand Prix. I went into this knowing that would be the case pretty much after the first 2 races. But with the knowledge of the tracks and newfound skills I had, I felt more prepared to take it on again with— wait a second, how many unedited hours is that? Oh dear, nearly 6 hours were spent running through this one Grand Prix. While I managed to do okay in Big Surf Grove and Terminal 1 and 2, that wasn't always the case in every playthrough. These custom cars you race against do not f*** around. But they're not perfect either. They will crash into other cars and make poor turns, but those could be few and far in between. This late in the game, it felt like near-perfect gameplay needed to be executed when playing as Gangster. The slightest bit of slowdown can potentially put you out of business. Unless you're already far enough ahead and boosting constantly, you won't make it very far in any race. During this time, I perfected my drifting and finally learned how to consistently hit boost starts. I made it up to this Grand Prix without doing it out of laziness and for the meme, but that couldn't last forever. It was also mentioned in my chat that when some of these cars get so far ahead, their AI is less likely to crash. If that's the case, I was going to be in some deep trouble. After many resets spanning 2 days, I'd get first place in Crystal Summit and take things from there. Freeway Dash during all of my attempts continued to be a pain in the neck. For whatever reason, these cars always had the upper hand on me and seemingly were rubber banding like crazy. I was keeping up in second place, which for this race was really good. And then a bus came along and caused a pileup. I respawned back into second place and took that all the way to the finish line. In Sunrise Valley downtown, I was playing it cool and fairly clean. That is, if you considered a few crashes fairly clean. I almost crashed near the end of the last lap. I don't even know how I got away with that one. Big Surf Grove was a nail-biter. The first 3 laps, I stayed around second place. And right after crossing into the last lap, I met with a curb and a building behind it. In an odd turn of events, Custom Roadster also crashed somewhere. We spawned right next to each other and got back to racing. With some clean turning and a few big boosts on my hip, I took first place again. Throughout this Grand Prix, all of the cars were finishing in different spots. Usually, it seemed as though 1 or 2 cars typically placed high and 1 was left in last. But points were moved around so much that I was ahead by 5. This was a gigantic lead, and a pretty lucky one to boot. This stroke of luck would continue into Palm Bay Marina. I ended up placing in second, but Japanese Muscle got first. Since they were sitting in last, this took away points from Custom Roadster, who was my only rival here. My point count now was so high that I could literally retire from the last race in the airport terminal and still win. But I decided to have some fun with it instead.
Who the hell do you think you are? Who the hell do you think you are? Are you any kind of artist? Anyone know who you are? Maybe everybody out here wants to enjoy the peace and quiet. This is one of the most important places in all of North America. Who are you? Who are you?
In the insane timeline we live on, I still pulled out a second place finish. So much time and effort put into this Grand Prix and only 1 more to go. I hope it's called something kind. Now we're up to 7 races, all against the very best cars in the entire game. One is called Supercar, and its stats are completely maxed out except for 1 point in its acceleration. It's pretty intimidating, but I've improved so much during this challenge, who knows what could happen. Yeah, actually, so all of these cars are just way better than Gangster and will leave you eating dust and kicking rocks. They really turned up the heat. Maybe the real heart attack was the one we received trying to catch up to Supercar in an old jalopy. I went through the first 3 races and my hopes and dreams were damaged. but not entirely broken. Like the late great Meatloaf, I slept on it and gave it another try in the morning, or rather afternoon. I made it through a fair amount of the Grand Prix, not getting anywhere near first, but putting my practice in, and that's when my stream crashed again after an hour in. TLDR, I had been experiencing computer issues throughout the week, and my stream died, along with my motivation to continue for the day. Sometimes life just happens and we lick our wounds and move on. It's all a part of the challenge runs plan, so that's exactly what I did. I got some extra rest and prepared for the excruciating journey ahead. I am not kidding when I say that Supercar hardly made any mistakes. That rat bastard will get first place every single time, and the other cars are no slouches either. Any small itty-bitty slowdowns will send them blazing past you in the blink of an eye. Boosting hardly helps either. Don't get me wrong, it does, but every time you activate your boost, it seems like all the cars ahead of you follow suit and you can't catch them. Seldom will these cars slow down for anything or crash into oncoming traffic. That doesn't mean never though. If you play your cards right and remember the valuable words that come straight from the highly thought of and beloved philosopher, the little engine that could, if you think you can probably win.
Are you kidding me, dude?
Okay, maybe not right away, but it still helps to remain positive. After losing a good couple more hours of my life to this challenge of a coughing baby versus a hydrogen bomb, I get second place behind you-know-who in the first race at Reverse Big Surf Shores. In Reverse Palm Bay Heights, there was a couple of pileups throughout the race that stopped everybody. While it wasn't great to be caught up in all that, I got second place again. Reverse Interstate 88 is 2 long laps on a mountain highway. I was not at my best in the first lap. I was in third place trying to catch up to Supercar, but it just seemed impossible. That was until the start of the second lap, where I made a short turn past Supercar and almost never heard from them again. They did give me a booty bump towards the end of the second lap.
No.
But my little jalopy boosted away and did the impossible. It beat Supercar. I was only 1 point behind now. Even if I wasn't in first for the race, any points taken away from Supercar was a huge win. Heartbreak Hills returned to keep me informed on why it's named that. This one and done race was straight bupkis. These cars seemed to perform their best in one-lap races. But I wasn't messing around either. I got smoked by Supercar this time, but got my 4th second place finish in a row. Reverse Sunrise Valley Springs probably should have been a loss for me. By now, I was navigating decently enough and not crashing too much anymore. But this track decided it wanted to change that for me. It ended up being one of the closest races yet. In the last lap, it was tight between me, Custom Muscle, and Supercar for second place.
Okay, this is good. Okay, you got last. That's awesome.
Supercar got last place. That has never happened before. After so long, this scenario could not have been better for me. Everything was on the line at Reverse Crystal Summit Lake. Adding on to my nerves, this race was really long. Nearly a minute into the first lap, Supercar crashed. It almost felt like this game was begging for me to win. Then nearing the end of the first lap, Supercar tried to pass me and crashed again. Finally, at the end of the first lap, Custom Roadster also got totaled, and I put myself in the lead. But that didn't last too long. The end of the second lap was my savior. Things were looking a bit bleak, and I fell behind in third place. Almost as soon as that happened, both Custom Roadster and Supercar crashed and let me pass through for a first place spot in the final lap. Supercar and I were neck and neck, with me being ever so slightly ahead. Nearing the finish line, it could have gone either way.
Ooh, baby, baby, baby. Holy.
I was officially 1 point in the lead over Supercar. The last race was in the Reverse Airport Terminal 3, and I had to be first.
That's it, baby. That's it. GG.
And there you have it. It was all over. In the most anticlimactic finish of all time, after Supercar and Custom Roadster crashed almost immediately in the beginning of the race, I won completely uncontested. I always had a decent time in the airport races, but this felt too easy in my opinion. It was almost as if I hit the RNG jackpot in this Grand Prix. With all gold trophies collected and watching the staff credits roll, I proved that you can beat Burnout 2 using only, just kidding. You didn't think I'd forget about the last pursuit, did you? For our final mission before retirement, I had to take down Custom Muscle. I'll cut to the chase, it didn't take very long. Everything I learned up to this point helped me grow into a fine player and an even better deputy.
You're under arrest.
Now the challenge is complete. Thank you all so much for watching. I don't really get into too many challenges where I beat the game as a slow vehicle or character. This one was so much fun and a lot to overcome. Burnout 2 really had me in the first half. Once you get into the 3rd Grand Prix and the Custom Championship, it's all completely downhill. It was kind of hard to tell if the game had crazy rubber banding like a lot of racing games do, or if I was just that slow. For my first time playing a game in the Burnout series, it was very enjoyable, and I'll definitely be eyeing more games in this franchise for future challenges. Be sure to hit the like button if you enjoyed this video. Also, I stream all of my challenge runs live on my Twitch channel and here on YouTube. If you'd like to check that out, be sure to subscribe or follow me on Twitch. The link to my Twitch channel, along with links to my other social media accounts, can be found in the description. If there's a challenge run that you'd like to see, you can also check out the description for a direct link where you can submit your ideas. Thanks again for watching, everyone. See you in the next video.
Yes, it's true. Our dog, Brian Griffin, is... What if the thumbnail is this? Is his car running over Brian Griffin?